Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Grayboardgamer here with a solo playthrough of Tiny Epic Zombies from Gameland Games. It's October 1st, which means it's basically Halloween for the entire month. So any playthroughs that I start during this month are going to be of the horror theme. And what better way to start out than with a newly arrived Kickstarter? So let's get this box open and get it set up. When I backed the game, I opted in for the playmat, so we'll go ahead and use that for the playthrough. The first step of the setup is getting the mall set up where the game takes place. And the first card you put in place is the courtyard, and since we're doing this as a cooperative game, we will use the cooperative side. This game can also be done competitive, and you would use the other side, but for our purposes, we will use the cooperative side of the courtyard, and we'll put it in place here in the middle of the board. Around the courtyard there will be 8 other stores in the mall. You have 8 different store cards which are double-sided, so there's 16 to choose from, and these are to be placed randomly around the courtyard. What I will do to set them up randomly is I'll start down here at the bottom and work my way around clockwise. First I'll give them a shuffle. Then I'll put the first one in place by flipping it over to its other side, put the next one in place face up with the face it's on, flip the next one, keep it, flip it, keep it, and go that way around the board. So let me give them a quick shuffle. We'll start here at the bottom, and I'll put these right here just so I don't have to keep holding them. And the first one, like I said, I was going to flip. So our first room will be Gameland World. And when you place the cards in place, if you look on the mat, you'll see there's these little circles. That indicates where the store entrance will be. And on each of the stores, this symbol will show you where the entrance is. So we'll place that first one just like that. Next one in the stack, we'll keep it the way it is. That's LTL Hobbies. I'll focus in on these stores later as we're doing the gameplay so you can see what the cards look like and what the different abilities on them are. Next one we will flip and we'll get First Place Sporting Goods. Next one we will keep Hordes Collectibles. We will flip and get the Parking Deck Z. And again, make sure you rotate it to where that symbol is on the outer edge. Even if you don't have the playmat giving you the little dots of where to go, just make sure you rotate yours so that the entrance is at the outer edge facing the outside of the mall. This one we'll keep, which will be Finish It Hardware. We'll flip this over to Amps Electronics. And finally we'll keep Echo Ridge Food Court. Now our mall is in place, the structure of it, so you can see every time, depending on what random order they go in and which side you flip it to, you're going to have a good variety of stores in varying orders for your replay value. Then we'll place one of these zombie tokens in the entrance room of each store. So each store is going to get one of these, which means there will be a total of 8 zombies on the board to begin. And let me grab the food court here to show you. Each store in the mall is divided into 3 rooms. And they're labeled 1, 2, and 3. Those numbers are where the zombies will spawn, and we'll get into more detail as we go forward. Since the game calls for 1 zombie to be placed in the entrance room of each store, we will take one of our tokens and it will go in room number 1 of each store. Throughout the game, when you hear me refer to a store, it'll be this entire card. And if I refer to a room, it would just be one of the 3 sections inside the store. And that's an important distinction, so I'll try to make sure I say the right thing throughout the video. 1 zombie has been placed in each of the 8 entrances. Next, in the courtyard, we'll place the barrier token and 2 survivor tokens. The strength of the barrier will begin on 2, so we'll place the token there on 2. And our 2 survival tokens will go here in the pool area of the courtyard. Next, we'll randomly choose one of these players to be the AI-controlled zombie player. I believe there are 18 of them here, and on the back of every survivor card is a zombie version of them. We'll go ahead and randomly pick. I'll roll a 20-sided die, and then we'll count to that number, and then flip it, and that'll be our zombie player. Got a 2. So the burglar will be our zombie player. We'll flip it over, and we can see we have the burglar zombie. These apply whenever there's someone controlling it and not the AI, so we won't have to pay any attention to these right now. The only thing we have to worry about is this passive ability. When a player is overrun, they must perform a drop check. And a drop check will be whether or not we drop something when we get attacked or overrun. The zombie player's card will go right here, and they will get the remaining supply of zombies. If this was a game where a player was controlling the zombie, we would also put a horde marker, which is one of these green cubes, here on number 1. But the horde markers are not used in the solo version of the game. Next we'll choose our players, and I'm going to do this as a 3-player cooperative game. I will roll the 20-sided 3 times, ignoring anything above 17 since we already took the burglar out, and get 3 numbers. 6, 4, and 13. We'll take the cards. We got 4, 6, and 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Those will be our 3 players for this playthrough. And this is going to be fun. I have not played with any of these characters yet. So we have the farmer, the survivalist, and the janitor. And you can see at the bottom of each card, each player begins with a knife and a pistol. Each character is going to take one of the player tokens, one of these health markers that has their color on it. That health marker will start on the 0, and one of these ammo markers, and it will start on the 9. Just for reference so you know, the survivalist will be this greenish aqua color, the farmer will be the orange, and the janitor will have the pink player. You will also see the same colored cube on each of the cards. Those don't have to be there. I just placed those there for reference for myself throughout the game so I don't get confused if I forget which player is which color. Each of our players will start in the courtyard. Here we have our 9 objective cards. These also have a cooperative side and a competitive side. But for this playthrough, we'll be doing the cooperative side. You're supposed to select 3 of these at random. There are 9 of them. So, as I always do, I'll roll for it. Roll the 10-sided 3 times, ignoring the 10. We have 1, 9, and 6. So our objectives will be 1, 6, and 9. Our 3 objectives will go up here at the top of the board. We'll take a close look at them now. And in order to win the game, we have to complete all 3 objectives before our time runs out. Up first, we have to fix the helicopter, which means we have to pick up all of the helicopter parts and return them to the courtyard. The components for this are 1 part token and 1 objective marker. To set up, we place a part token in the room with the 1 icon. Place the objective marker on the start space of the card's track, which is right there. During gameplay, after entering a room with the part token, killing a zombie if necessary, and if there are no zombies in the store, that player may pick it up, placing it on their card. They must bring it back to the courtyard. Any player may drop the part in a room at any time. Players may give or take the part to a player in the same room as them. If a player dies while carrying the part, they immediately drop it in the room where they have died. When we get back to the courtyard with the part, advance the objective marker 1 space, then reset the objective, placing the part token on the next space listed on the card's track. And you can see there's 4 different spots, and that'll correspond with this gear symbol on the rooms that are in the mall. We have to get all 4 parts to complete this objective. We'll place the gear token on gear space number 1. Gear space number 1 is here in LTL Hobbies. And we can see it right here in the first room in this store. And it has a designator of number 1, so that's the first part that we're going to need to retrieve. And if we look in the store right next to it, which is Gamelin World, once we get that first part back to the courtyard, you can see the gear symbol right here with the 2 on it. And that's where it'll go for the second time. And then there's a 3 and a 4 in other rooms around the board. The parts will start here in LTL Hobbies. The second one, as we've seen, will be in Gamelin World. The third will be way up here in the top right in Finish It Hardware. And the last time we have to get a part, number 4, is right here on the right side of the board in Amps Electronics. And we'll place that marker here on the start space. And these are the horde markers. Since we're not using them, we'll use them to keep track of objectives. Next up, we have Save the Stranded. The objective is to save the stranded people. We need the 2 stranded tokens and 1 objective marker. To set up, we'll shuffle the 2 stranded tokens and place each face down into the entrance of both, and it's both stores with that purple symbol on it, which is noted here on the card's track, and it's going to change throughout the game. Place the objective marker on the start space, which will be right there. Whenever we enter a room with a stranded token, killing a zombie if necessary, and if there are no zombies in the store, the player may flip and resolve. If the token shows a stranded, advance the objective marker forward 1 space, then reset the objective, shuffling both tokens and placing them face down on the entrance of each store with the next icon on the track, which is right here. False alarm. If the token shows a zombie, immediately place 1 zombie into that room. The player is now overrun. Place a zombie token onto this card to be used to reset the objective later. Here we have our stranded and zombie token, which we'll put face down, shuffle. Then we'll place them in the entrance of the 2 stores with the purple icon, which is right here at Gamelin World, and the other one is up here in Parking Deck Z. Place those in the entrance room after being shuffled up. And finally, our last objective is investigate the source. Investigate clues to find 3 sources of the outbreak. So we need these 5 clue tokens. Shuffle the 5 tokens and place 4 of them face down on the 4 icons, and we'll see those on the board. They have this little biohazard symbol on them also. Place the 5th unplaced token face down right here on the source. During gameplay, after entering a room with the clue token, killing a zombie if necessary, and if there are no zombies in the store, that player may flip and reveal it for all players to see. They then may choose to continue their turn or attempt to guess the source. To guess the source, a player chooses one of the sources they think is face down here on the source token. If they're correct, they'll take that source token and put it on its matching space here on the card. If they're wrong, all the players immediately take 2 wounds, and then we reset. To reset the objective, we shuffle the remaining tokens that are not here on the card that were correct guesses, and place a new token face down on the source space. Then we'll put the other tokens out in ascending order because each of those spaces in the stores has a number on them. Whether the person was right or wrong, that is the end of their turn. And to finish, we need to find 3 sources of the outbreak. Here are 5 source tokens, and you can see on the back they're all the same, so we don't know which one is which, so we'll get these shuffled up and place them in the mall. I have the 5 of them mixed up right here, and we're going to place them in the mall. And they're supposed to be placed randomly. Number order does not matter here since we're going to place all 4, but I'll show you in order so you know what I'm talking about later in the game when I'm placing them in order. The first one's going to go here in the first place sporting goods, and you can see right there is the biohazard symbol with the number 1 in it. We'll randomly take one of those tokens and drop it on there. Number 2 is located up here in the parking deck, which is in the same room as one of the possible survivors that we're trying to save, or the stranded. Number 3 is down here in the Echo Ridge Court. And the last one is up here on the left in Hoarding Collectibles. And then the last one that we didn't use, that we need to guess, will go on the card as the source. And again, don't forget, we have to accomplish all 3 objectives in order to win the game. Next up, we're going to create the supply and search decks. And I've separated the cards into their 4 types. We have this like briefcase symbol, which are pickup cards. Those cards, as soon as you pick them up, you immediately benefit from what's on them, and then they get discarded. The next stack with this symbol are event cards, and you immediately carry out the event whenever you draw that one. Next we have backpack items. These items can be stored in your backpack and used at a later time, and there's no limit to how many of these items you can have in your backpack. And finally, this last stack are ranged and melee weapons. The first deck we'll create is deck A, which consists of pickup cards and event cards. We're going to shuffle those 2 decks together. Let's go ahead and give them another quick mix and just put them face down. Next, we're going to take all of the backpack and weapon cards and shuffle them together to form a deck. The backpack and weapon cards have been shuffled into one large deck. Give it another quick mix. Then we'll draw 12. These 12 will be placed next to deck A to create deck B. And then these final cards that we didn't draw, we'll go ahead and mix them up again, and they will create deck C. Deck C will be placed on the supply deck space, and then we will take deck A and B. We will shuffle them together, give them a quick shuffle too, and then place that here next to our zombie, and that will be our search deck. And that's our timer, because when the search deck runs out and the last card is placed into a store, every player gets 1 more turn, and if we have not completed our objectives by the end of those turns, we have lost. I've already placed the weapons up there. Here's a close-up look at all the little plastic weapons that come with the game, and they all have a peg on them that allows you to attach it to your token, your meeple. That way you got a visual rotation of which weapons they're carrying at the time. Let's take a look at the melee die. You have this symbol on 2 sides, and if you roll that, it doesn't have any effect, nothing changes. Overkill symbol, which is also on 2 sides, which allows you to move extra. And then you have the wound symbols, 2 wounds on one side and a single wound on the other side. Next we'll place the vehicle. In this case it's going to be the motorcycle, because we have the parking deck Z side of the card. And the motorcycle will go here in the room available for players to use. If that card were on the other side, instead of the motorcycle, we would have the police car. And they both have different abilities, so it's not just a style choice to where one's a motorcycle, one's a police car. They both do different things. We'll take the 2 trap tokens and turn them to their gray side, and we'll put them right here next to Amps Electronics. And with this box that you see here, it's an ability that allows you to gain and arm a trap if we're in that particular room. And finally, we have the 2 supply tokens, 1 and 2, and those numbers are for identification purposes. They both do the same thing. Supply token 1 will go right here in LTL Hobbies, and you can see the designated spot right there, the number 1. And the second supply is here in Finish It Hardware. And you can see the number 2 spot where that supply token will go. The solo version of the game in the rulebook says it plays the same as a cooperative game, except that the player controls 2 humans. I wanted to throw in an extra bit of variety, so I'm going to control 3. When setting up for a cooperative game, there are a couple of changes. One, we already talked about, there are no horde markers for the zombie player. We put 2 survivors here in the courtyard, those little white meeple tokens. That is what you do for a normal difficulty game. You could put 3 there for easy, 1 for hard, or 0 for an epic game. And finally, each player is going to draw one of these cards from the search deck and put it face down next to their player card, and they do not look at it. And what I'll do is I'll place it to the right of each of their cards. I'm sorry, to the left of each of their cards, because on the right side of their cards are where their backpack items go. We're all set up, ready to go, and begin our game of Tiny Epic Zombies.